This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of having Rechelle coming in from Juliette. Since the Grateful Dead supposedly is touring right now, a friend of Ganelin is a friend of mine. I woke up before daylight and all my dry cleaning was delivered by Juliette last night. So we're going to talk about dry cleaning. We're going to talk about funding businesses. We're going to be talking about being an awesome entrepreneur and some of the roller coaster rides associated with that. So Rechelle, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to share all of my dirty laundry secrets with everyone.
Awesome. So you're not technically in the Halo sector, health, active, lifestyle, outdoors, but if you are dry cleaned and you're looking healthy and you're smelling amazing, you're probably going to make a few more friends in the Halo sector. So we're pulling you under our umbrella. We're going to learn from you. You've done a lot of grassroots things. You've built a brand, high service industry, which the fitness and health and fitness industry is overall. So talk about how you got to where you are today, the abridged version. And then we'll talk about building a business.
Sure. So I launched my company in 2014, and it started off with a very simple concept, laundry. Why can't someone just pick it up, clean it, and deliver it? And so that's exactly what I did. I launched the app in 2014, scaled that to our first location in 2017, scaled that to 6 locations and 3 brands in 2022. So that's the short version.
Got it. And you've stayed in the city with your new locations?
Yes, we are only in New York City.
Great. So the first, point I want to make to entrepreneurs is, we get some people that build a location in New York, maybe build a second one, and then the third, fourth, and fifth, they're like in Miami, San Francisco, Los Angeles. And the reality is that they had a brand. They had really good feedback and reviews that instead of kind of staying, in and around adjacencies or, don't leave the subway line and benefit from that, they started spending their EBITDA, on travel and putting people up in hotels. So talk strategically about how you view New York City, how it's unique to everything outside of it, and how you said, look, this is going to be my sequential path, and I'm not looking to prove to someone that this brand could go in another market until I feel like going into that other market.
Exactly. You are right. There's a lot of strategic thought at work here. And listen, if you can make it here, you could make it anywhere, right?
Heard that before,
New York
yes.
is definitely the toughest, most difficult market to break into. And as you're breaking into that market and you're successful at it, then by default, you have a brand that can easily scale to other markets. So that's how I view the strategic brand play. But also, I'm New Yorker. I've been here for over 20 years. I grew up in New York, New Jersey. I know this market like the back of my hand. So it's my turf. I understand the New York mentality, the New York lifestyle, and New Yorkers want everything yesterday,
right,
including their clean clothes.
Right. One of the interesting things as I was thinking about this podcast over the last couple of days, is what I prepped for not the last month. I was kind of busy. Sorry about that.
That's all good.
I thought about you coming into this industry versus the people that are already in the industry. They got into this industry probably because it was a way to start up, an independent operator. They were able to maybe put it together at a relatively low cost. They weren't really thinking about how am I solving the frustrations of people. They were thinking about like, I'm in the dry cleaning business, and that is like a trade that I'm in. Just like I could become a plumber, electrician, or, run a convenience store, what have you. So when you looked at this industry, I'm assuming you didn't say there aren't enough dry cleaners. I need to be in the dry cleaning business, right? You said, hey, they're actually not understanding the customer and what my demands and needs are versus, hey, there's such big white space. So how did you think about that, as an entrepreneur when you wanted to get into this?
You are absolutely correct. Most dry cleaning businesses historically have been family-owned businesses passed down by generation. And so the lens that I took when I came into the industry was, wow, it's highly fragmented. It's highly antiquated in terms of technology, branding, marketing, and PR. And therein lies the opportunity to become category leader and to build a brand that can conquer one industry at a time, one market at a time, let's say New York.
Now, over the years, there's been several dry cleaning concepts that have gotten venture capital. Really, they were focused more on the scalability of the business, I think, and having a centralized cleaning, having like almost like a Starbucks type of concept where you drop it off, you come pick it up. For some reason, those businesses never made it. There really isn't like a nationwide Juliette or even like a super regional Juliette, if I could use your brand as the example, since we're talking about it, why not, right? So
Sure.
what are some of the things that your special sauce, what did you figure out that other people couldn't figure out?
Sure. So to your point, yes, there have been other players who have come in VC backed, and they come in with a very smart approach. Let's consolidate, right? Let's have a central plan, as you mentioned, and a pickup and delivery type model. Now, the problem there is that laundry and dry cleaning is specific in that you're dealing with people's personal garments.
Right.
And those personal garments could be something very expensive, like an expensive tailor-made, custom-made suit, or it could be something sentimental, something that your mother or grandmother passed down to you. Now, if you don't have that industry knowledge of garment care and the nuances of what it takes to pick up your garment, clean it, and return it to you in one piece, not lost, and it's yours, you didn't get someone else's clothes, there's a lot of operational steps there that I have mastered over these past 10 years. And that is part of my secret sauce. Not the whole secret sauce.
Got it.
But a big part of it.
This show's not called Give Away Your Secret Sauce. So don't worry, we're not going to spend all the time there. But when you take a look at, the type of people that you need to hire, whether that's, small checklist, like I care, I listen, I'm responsible. There's probably a differentiator between working for you and working for someone else. So how do you kind of infuse your operational model, your high touch model with people that might not have come from any, curated culinary, or I'm thinking like hospitality, thinking about people who would be great to work for you. People have like a lot of discipline, maybe have been told like, think quickly on your feet, and here's like, teach them judgment and teach them care.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
How does that work for you?
It is a challenge. It's the most difficult challenge, I think, for most companies, is how do you create a culture for your workforce, and how do you hire and train the right type of people? I have a very consumer-centric approach to it. And believe it or not, I lead with integrity, or I try to lead with integrity. And I try to teach my team to be compassionate. So what does it mean to be compassionate? Imagine it's your dress, it's your suit, you're going to that interview, you're going on that date. You need this stain removed, you need this order back at this time. So that's where the care, we take care to the next level, and we teach compassion. But then when it comes to integrity and judgment, that's, there's a difference between this brand and that brand. So inherently you have to love fashion or have a very basic understanding of fashion.
So I was at a gas station the other day, and there was someone in front of me wearing a Top Golf jacket, and I could tell that he was a manager, or he was part of the employee team at a new location, which was across the street. And as I was chatting him up, I'm like, were you involved? He's like, yeah, I opened up the new Top Golf across the street. I'm like, well, what do you do there? And I thought he was going to say he's the manager or he's assistant manager. And you know what he said? He says, I'm on the culinary team. And I'm thinking, like, somebody internally thought that we're not hiring for a kitchen job, right? We're not hiring for a chef, right? We're hiring for the culinary team. And I feel like words matter, and titles are really important to people. And that guy told me with pride, that I'm on the culinary team. And I know what that means, in a place like a Top Golf. It's not like, a Michelin restaurant. So as you're kind of going through and saying, like, I'm not what you think of dry cleaning, right? I'm going to change how you think about me as a consumer. I'm also going to try and change how you as an employee think about what you're doing.
Mm.
So how are some of the things that you've done, whether it's how you coach people up, whether, your retention rate is really high, whether people are thirsty to learn? Because in the fitness industry, I feel like, or just in the healer sector in general, sometimes people aren't given the tools or like the weapons to succeed. One of them is their title and how they're treated. So maybe you could give us a little insight into how you've thought about that in order to recruit the best people.
Absolutely. And you're right. Vernacular does matter. Words do matter. And so when we are talking about the people we serve or the people we service, we call them clients. And we don't call it customer service. We call it client relations because we have a relationship with all of our clients. So my people who do basically customer service, client relations is what they're called. Now, going back to how do you get them to care, this is a very labor intensive industry. And it's a difficult job. So you got to have someone who's going to be willing to put in the work. And that's a very specific type of pool of people you're looking at. And the way that I inspire them is I let them know that they are actually a part of something bigger, because at the end of the day, this is self-funded. This is a small business. I am also an immigrant. Many of my workers are immigrants. We all come here with the American dream to sort of change our social situation and lift ourselves out of whatever situation we're trying to lift ourselves out of. And Juliette is a conduit. So they see their job not just, yes, it pays the bills, but they see the growth in the company and they see that they're contributing to that growth. And they also understand because we're so small, they do matter, right? So if you're 5 minutes late, or if you decide to not come in, or if you take a sick day and you don't communicate with us, it's such a small, tight-knit team that everyone is affected. And that's the culture that I lead with. That's the culture that I try to build every day with my team. And that's what keeps them motivated to come back. People stay not because of salaries and because of the jobs. They stay because of the culture. And they feel valued.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on building that. Everybody who's listening here knows that culture is not built overnight. It's not built in a 3-ring binder. So we'll get you a copy of our book, but we wrote a book called Time to Win Again. And one of them is like, treat your employees like professional athletes. And when you do that, they typically respond. Let me switch gears. Gears here. You ready? Here we go. Switch. Okay. Got it. What? Take some water if you want. Hydrate. Awesome. Go on. We're not on video.
Stick shifts. Are we going to stick shift or overdrive?
We're going to go into self-autonomous drinking. There's just gonna be like a catheter that gets set up right. Anyway.
Boy.
Here's what I want to switch to. I want to switch to the use of technology, or maybe leave me alone. And when I say that is, I go to SoulCycle. Everyone here on this audience knows I love going to SoulCycle. I'm not sitting there with an Apple Watch, and I don't want to know what my metrics are because I want to know how I feel. If I take a look at buying a higher dose mat on online, and I get it sent to my house, right when I get it, I have a tracking. I know where it is exactly. Right? I know it's in this warehouse, going to this warehouse, going to this UPS center, Alpha Delivery. I would assume in the dry cleaning business, you could put an RFID tracker, and somebody could basically track their entire journey through your operation, what truck it's on, where it's getting laundered, what rack it's on. And then at some point you might be able to say, look, this is my business, right? You don't need to know, this is what I do for you. You don't really need to be tracking my tracker because I have a brand and I have an authority that I'm doing this on your behalf. And it's kind of none of your business what my supply chain looks like on how to get you what you want. So as you look at technology and things like, that might be really interesting to provide to a member yet or a client. I don't want to inundate them with where's my dress? Just know that I'm delivering it to you at this time. So talk about the benefits or the detriments of over technologizing a relationship.
Yeah, sure. So you are correct. All of our orders are GPS tracked and ETA tracked, and our clients do have access to that in real time. That's as far as the transparency goes for them. Internally with my team, we can track and see everything, and that's how we manage internal operations. But that is not information we have to share with a client, nor do they even care. They just want it back tomorrow, cleaned, and that's it.
Got it. So when you think about, you're basically like reinventing the relationship that someone has with their dry cleaner, which basically, I lived on 15th Street. My dry cleaner was on 16th Street, and they delivered to the front desk of the building in Zeckendorf that I lived in. When you think about creating a brand, right? What are some of the things that you now have the authority to do or say that other people in the dry cleaning industry that you compete against would be like, you can't tell me about fashion. What do you know about fashion? Where you could say, hey, I can tell you about that. Or I can tell you like what to wear at these events because I've lived this lifestyle or I live it and therefore I can be your advisor on it versus someone else who's like, it's a pickup drop-off thing. It's not, I'm not going to you as like an authority on anything.
Right. No. So I can say in full confidence, Juliette is the sexiest brand.
Got it.
That's
Full
it.
stop. You want to end now or you want to keep going?
Yeah, we are the sexiest brand. So that's one thing that no one else in the industry can compete with us on. Now, what makes us sexy? Well, we're a New York brand, and New York, as I mentioned, is a very specific demographic. And not only do we service every New Yorker, we service these high-performing New Yorkers who work hard and play harder, and they need to look good while they do it. That means they're sending in nice things. And they are living that lifestyle. So when I am building the brand or when I'm telling my marketing story or storytelling to potential clients, I'm not saying, hey, I'm the best dry cleaner. I'm saying I had to steam press Priyanka Chopra's dress before she got on the plane because she had to go on this photo shoot, and this is a lifestyle that not only the celebrities have, but a lot of New Yorkers have because they're catching planes. They need me to turn things around quickly. And sometimes I'm not picking up and delivering to their home. I'm picking up and delivering. They have a messenger. I got to meet them at the airport. We got to do this. And that lifestyle is a very New York lifestyle. And that is our brand. It's understanding the New Yorker's lifestyle. That's something that no one else can compete with us on. And that's what makes us sexy.
Awesome. I see the sexy coming out, in the business model and in the relationship. Now, my follow-up question to that is, how do you then turn basically your, on-demand concierge service, this woman named Juliette, is very sexy. How do you turn her from, hey, this is how much it costs per garment to like, look, here's how much it just costs?
That is how it works. So most of our clients don't ask. I think they go to our website. They have a sense. We don't take an order without taking their credit card first. And a lot of it is trust. And if they have a question about the price of something, we have that conversation. But the only time price actually comes up is for high ticket garments, something that's going. I'll give you an example. We needed to deconstruct a gown before we returned it to the client because it was very intricate. We needed to clean bits and pieces of it first, stitch it back together, and then return it to her. So something like that, we're going to have a conversation about price first. Everyone else who's just working, golfing, going to meetings, they're sending us their suits, their dresses, their blouses. We don't have to have a conversation on price.
Got it. So basically you have a price list, but it's not, people aren't making decisions based on it, nor are they scrutinizing it because they know, it's not X dollars per suit. It's basically the whole experience, the whole service, the whole support. Basically, you're like a support.
The whole thing.
Yeah. Gotcha.
The whole thing.
So talk about, you've got 6 locations now. The fact that you didn't leave New York City, I think is a great strategic move for various reasons of building the brand and moving it, further down the field, if you will, or, if we want to use a soccer reference, basically goal kicking our way past half and we're keeping it within the zone. From a standpoint of seeking investors seeking you out, what's that experience been like? Do you kind of Obviously during COVID, there are a lot of irrational investors that close businesses. Sometimes there aren't great partnerships. So it might have been best that you were on your own so you could lead and just go with your gut, not have anyone to answer to. So how's that experience been? Or some of the, frustrations related to it? Because 99 out of 100 people in anything I do say no.
That experience was a wonderful learning lesson. And I say that because it was filled with surprises. It was filled with decisions and outcomes that I was not expecting nor that I wanted. But it forced me to look at other ways to make money. It forced me to think outside of the box. When I launched the company in 2014, and I was immediately successful, cash flow positive, prototype built, let's go gung-ho, let's go raise. And I didn't raise that money in 2014 and 2015 and 2016. And I was trying to work on this business. It was incredibly difficult. And I could not split my time between actively fundraising and trying to build this business.
Sure.
So the fundraising experience was extremely difficult, and I had to put that on the back burner and focus on building the business and getting it to profitability as quickly as possible. And that's how I built and scaled and self-funded and bootstrapped. And then COVID came, and that was another wonderful learning experience. Right? That completely kicked my butt. I think it kicked everyone's butt. But again, it was very similar to the early days of trying to fundraise and trying to deal with something. You don't know what you're dealing with. You have limited resources. Any wrong decision can plunge you into bankruptcy. But when COVID came, because I had dealt with that initial experience of fundraising, I was actually better prepared, and I came out of COVID even stronger. So our numbers last year are 75, where we completely built everything back up.
That's awesome. So, last question related to that, as being an entrepreneur, making your own decisions, a lot of people come in and say, I'm at 7 locations, I want to be at 10, then I want to go to 20 and this and that. Given how you define your own success, or, I'm not going to open up a 7th location or an 8th location. 1, unless I feel like it, right? 1, like I want to do it. 2, there has to be like a market opportunity that would reward me for taking my eye off my core business and expanding it further. So how do you think about what you want to be, or are you who you want to be right now?
I always want to be better. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, do I want a 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th location? And I always will focus on building the business and creating value. And if that means opening up more businesses or acquiring more businesses so that we can become an even more valuable company, then that is what I'm working on. And I'm not opposed to it. I think at the end of the day, we're trying to be number 1 in New York City and beyond. And so that's what I'm working on.
Awesome. All right. We'll have all your information up here. Thanks for coming and spreading your wisdom and insights on Halo Talks. I think there's a lot of similarities between what you're doing in your category and basically like changing the narrative and actually building a brand that people sometimes forget about what they're trying to do and where they're trying to get to in the mind of a member or the mind of a client. So appreciate you coming on, and continued success. And we'll have you back basically whenever we can get a hold of you. No milestones.
Thank you so much, Pete.
No milestones required.
No milestones required. IPO.
IPO. There you go. Good stuff. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.